Okay, so I originally was going to do lucid dreaming, but I want to do something more people could relate to since only about 40% of adults lucid dream. So I decided to do it on sleeping. And then the definition of sleep is a recurring state of altered consciousness and being like awake and then when at rest, the body's at a high anabolic state, so sleep is important because that's whenever your body like rejuvenates its cells and that's when the cells grow. And then the different stages of sleep, there's 4 different stages, and it starts at this one, stage 1, NREM means non-REM sleep, and REM means rapid eye movement. And in stage 1, it's the difference between you're waking when you're asleep, but you like, if you're waking up at like in that stage, then you won't feel like you're sleeping because like you're still technically awake, but you're sleeping, and your brain waves are it's called alpha, and so your brain waves are like this. And then in stage 2 of the non-REM sleep, you're harder to wake up, and your brain waves are at theta, and it's kind of more slowed down, but you're still like you're almost in like a really, really deep sleep. And then in stage 3 is delta, is whenever you're less responsive to your environment, and then you don't produce like any reactions. Like if somebody tries to wake you up, it's really hard to wake you up. So, and in delta, it's like this, and your brain waves are like you're just kind of mellowed out. And then in stage 4, which is REM sleep, is the rapid eye movement, and most of your muscles are paralyzed and your eyes are moving really fast, and and that happens about every 90 minutes, so the cycle goes about 90 minutes or so, and it repeats, and it goes stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then back to stage 2, and then to REM sleep, so it kind of jumps all around. And it happens about 6 or 7 times throughout your whole entire sleep if you get like 8 hours of sleep. And then, if you don't get it, or there's sleeping disorders, and we have insomnia, which is difficulty staying asleep and falling asleep. And it's treated by regular schedule, limiting excessive mental physical stimulation in the hours before sleep, and cutting down on stimulants like coffee and alcohol and stuff like that. And then there's many like medications that you can take, like Lunesta or Ambien, and it just helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. It makes you like stay asleep for like 10 hours so that you can stay asleep. And then night terrors, they're like nightmares, but they're a lot worse. It's a sleep disturbance, and it's a lot more dramatic than a nightmare. Like you wake up and you can be like screaming or like just freaking out, and you usually sweat a lot too whenever you're doing a night terror. And then it usually happens a lot more in kids than in adults, and the kids usually don't remember it. If they wake up, they just think they had a nightmare, and it usually happens in REM sleep. And then we have dreaming. And dreaming also happens in REM sleep, and it's about 30 minutes or so that your dreams can last, and it happens about 3 to 5 times, but it can last up to 7 times. And the longer you sleep, the more dreams that you're going to have, but you don't always remember them. You forget about 90% of your dreams. And then we have lucid dreaming, which is you're dreaming, but you're aware that you're dreaming, so you can control your dreams. And it takes a lot of practice to do it because it's pretty difficult. I've tried myself, and it was really hard. I've tried so many times that I cannot do it. And what is lucid dreaming? And then the techniques is mild, which is mnemonic induction lucid dream, and it you train your body to increase self-awareness, making it easier to recognize when you're dreaming or when you're not. So people usually have like items or something to make to know like if they're awake, like if they'll like roll a dice or something and it keeps rolling, then they're sleeping. But if it stops, then they're not sleeping. And then to do it, usually set your alarm clock 4.5, 6, or 7.5 hours after you fall asleep. And then whenever you wake up, you record your dreams. And then you go back to your place of sleep, and then you go back to sleep, and then you'll most likely lucid dream. And then we have the wake back to bed, and you set your alarm clock about 5 hours after you sleep, and then you wake up, you stay awake for an hour, and then you only think about lucid dreaming. And then we have wild dreams, and it means wake-initiated lucid dream. And whenever you fall asleep, you carry out your awareness from wakefulness directly into REM sleep, and then you start to lucid dream. And there was a lot of movies created about lucid dreaming, but Inception was one of them, and it was created in 2010. And Leonardo DiCaprio, his character, used like a spin top kind of, and whenever he would be in his dream, he would spin it, and it would keep spinning, and then it stopped whenever he was in like reality. And then it was really confusing movie if you guys have seen it. I still don't get it to this day. I've tried, but it just doesn't happen. And then there's Avatar, and then The Matrix, and then effects of sleep deprivation. You can have irritability, you can have, your vision can start to go away. You can also get really sick, since sleep is whenever your body rejuvenates itself. And you can have memory loss, because in REM sleep is whenever your body remembers kind of all of this stuff that you thought about during the day, and that's whenever you learn about everything, it stays in your body. And then adults are supposed to get usually 7 to 9 hours, and then children are supposed to get 10 to 11, and then babies are supposed to get 12 to 18 hours of sleep. And so sleeping is a very important process, and everybody needs to do it. It usually is supposed to get a lot of sleep, about 8 hours or so. And sleeping disorders are common in adults and in teenagers, but mostly adults. And lucid dreaming is whenever you're aware that you're dreaming, but you can control. And if you don't get enough sleep, you can suffer severely. There's a lot of things that can happen to you if you don't dream, or if you don't sleep. And I hope you learned a lot about lucid dreaming. Sleeping.